What's going on there, guys? Good afternoon. It's the Earthmaster here on this Wednesday, August 10th date, 2022, about 1:24 p.m. California time. The latest quake looks like a 1.4 up there on the Earthquake 3D globe, right around the area of Southern California. We have seen a little bit of migration and uptick in movement here along this area of the state. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here from the USGS map, showing some of that movement working its way down along this area of California. I know over the past couple days or so we've seen some movement work its way down from about the Cascadia subduction zone southward. And now it looks like things quiet up north, but somewhat busy here in this area of the state. This is a 2.5 map and above. The latest quake shows a 3.6 just off the coast of Tijuana. Looks like that one coming in at about 19 kilometers deep, somewhat deep out there. Looks like it is potentially associated with the San Diego trough zone. This does extend a little bit south here. I'm not seeing that on the map, but it does on the on a typical fault map. So a little activity offshore there. Also up north around the Ridgecrest area, we're starting to see things fill up a little bit as well. Seeing a 2.6. That one coming in overnight. The all magnitudes map here, we'll bring this up a little bit and take a look at what we got. There's a little bit of increase out here, as I mentioned, along the San Jacinto fault zone, including one earthquake here, looks like a 1.4, just off of this segment here. No major swarms, though, to report around the Salton Sea or the southern segment of the San Andreas Fault for now. But again, we are kind of getting a little bit of increase in movement out there along that area of California, southern part. There's the movement there in Ridgecrest. Definitely a little uptick compared to yesterday's time frame. So things kind of filling in a little bit. Of course, remember we had swarms up here around Antelope Valley area. That has somewhat died off a little bit. Looks like 19 earthquakes or so in the last 24 hours. They're getting a little bit more spread out in terms of the time between these earthquakes. The latest one on 1.9 within the last hour. Let's see, there's that activity still continuing out here on the San Andreas Fault here. This is the creeping section, Santa Cruz Mountain section, right about this area, right up against the Diablo Range. Seen a pretty good swarm of earthquakes. This is the last week or so. Normally swarms out here along the San Andreas Fault. The plate boundary, definitely a good indicator of some tectonic stress here along the west coast. So we got about, zoom into the specific area, got about 25 earthquakes or so on this segment of the San Andreas Fault over the last week. The largest one so far looks to be a 3.3, but it's not uncommon. Definitely not uncommon to see these little swarms kicking up. Although, like I said, I do believe it tends to point towards some regional stress here along the plate boundary, in this case the San Andreas Fault. So just a heads up. Still think we could be looking at something a little bit kicking up here on the larger side here along the southern portion of the state. Let's see what we got here around Cobb Mountain. Looks like about 27 earthquakes or so. You guys know what's out here, right? Yep, hydrothermal pumping, or not pumping operations, but injection operations, so to speak. Injection of, raw sewage down below. Creating, utilizing that steam that's down there to create energy. Check it out, Calpine hydrothermal operations. I believe they are the folks that still own it. There's many hydrothermal plants out here. One of these days I'll get back down there to hopefully get a tour of the facility, but who knows now, maybe they won't let me in. 1.4 Redwood Valley area north of Ukiah, and a little bit of activity up north outside of Redding, it looks like, around the Shasta Lake area. 1.8 at 20 kilometers. Of course, I believe that's got to do with some of the tremor activity we've been watching building up just to the north of here. This is yesterday's tremor map, 254 epicenters of tremor. Seeing quite a good number there for one day. That's a pretty good uptick. We'll see what it looks like a little bit later on in the update video tonight for today's tally. Mount Rainier showing some movement to the west. Same for Mount St. Helens. These are all very small microquakes. Nothing big at all. A little bit of activity. It looks like a little activity around Cedar, Utah region. This swarming area has been consistent for a couple months now, and it's very shallow earthquake activity. Not for sure what we got out there in this area of the state of Utah, but whatever it is, it's very shallow movement, and yeah, I'm not for sure. It's just a little odd. Let's look at the 30 days tally here, and this is just this month, or the last 30 days, and that's 278 earthquakes. If we were to go back, since the 1st of January, it would probably be in the thousands, if not a little bit more. But again, all of these earthquakes are very shallow, negative depths, indicating, of course, in relation to sea level, that is. So some of these mountains, I'm sure, maybe a mile or so high, but still, it's very shallow earthquake activity across this region, and it's just in that one little area right there. So I'm not 100% certain what's going on there, but we will watch it for sure. Let's see what else we got. Let's back out of here. Texas, low activity from last night and yesterday showing up still on the map, but overall things just kind of on the mellow side across the eastern portion of the country. Looks like Huntersville, West Virginia had a 2.0 at 13 kilometers overnight. Aside from that, things are pretty quiet out here. There's no major swarms that I can see out here that have taken place. I know someone mentioned about a lot of swarming activity taking place off the coast here, or along the east coast. Not in recent times. South Carolina has had some swarms in the past around the Elgin area, although this is just kind of just a little blip of what they've had prior to the last 30 days. So, but recent activity just kind of died off, so we haven't seen any further activity along that region. Yellowstone National Park, not a whole lot going on. This is the overview of the region there, and as you can see on the maps here, we'll click on one, maybe one little earthquake here, little bitty tiny one, talking about a point something, 1.1 maybe, nothing big at all. A couple other smaller ones in there as well. So things just a little on the mellow side there at the Yellowstone region. Big Island of Hawaii, most of the activity looks like it is confined to the Pahala region, and that's been ongoing for quite a while, folks. One little earthquake out there around the Loihi Seamount, but overall things at the volcanoes still neutral. Well, not neutral, but as they have been, no major changes to report. One earthquake over here at the in the Japan region, 5.1. This one's pretty shallow though. At looks like about 5 kilometers or so. Very shallow earthquake in this region. Down south, still kind of waiting for some activity to really ramp up. It's been awfully quiet here around the Philippine Plate and areas around the Kuro-Kamchatka Trench. I still think we're getting ready to move and get things busy on this area of the plates. One earthquake outside of Guam. That one came in last night, 4.9. And a little spotty movement throughout the Vanuatu area and the Fiji region. Although, looks like the majority of this overnight time frame, except for this one right here, a little 4.8 in the Tonga area. Tonga Trench at 547 kilometers deep. Pretty deep one. South Sandwich Islands likes to show up on the map. Seems like they're getting a little bit busier down here. Over the past couple days, last 7 days of activity within this region shows a little uptick, almost along the entire section here of the South Sandwich Trench. Of course, the 8-pointer struck back here last year, and this thing's been moving pretty good, building up, I'm sure, some more pressure for a mega quake one day, but I don't think we'll see that anytime soon again. But there's always that possibility of seeing at least another 6 or 7 magnitude in that area for aftershocks. Let's see, Alaska, beautiful state of Alaska up there. Kind of wish I was up there right now. Seen some morning lows up there dipping into the 20s and 30s. See, that's my kind of weather, man. I'm an outdoorsman. I like being outside, chopping firewood and starting a nice fire inside the house. I mean, that's my kind of weather. I'm not a California guy. Even though I was born here in California, I don't like it. I actually despise it. Not good. Cost of living, okay, I won't go down that road, but it's horrible. Trust me. Don't want to live here. It's got some beautiful scenery out here, but not a big fan of the of everything else. All right, moving on. What do we got? Alaska showing some activity. Look at this line of movement from about Denali south through Anchorage into the Cook Inlet area. That's a pretty good train of earthquakes, and yeah, they're pretty. Some of them are pretty deep as well, so getting a lot of movement underneath this area into the subduction zone here. Of course, that does extend downward underneath this area pretty deep. Earthquakes Canada. I don't think we got anything new kicking off here, but we do like to check these guys. Of course, they had some activity. This one here is from a day or so ago, I believe. Actually, it looks like it was overnight. Some renewed activity up here, way up here in the what is that? The Labrador Sea, next to a swarm that kicked up here a couple days ago. Latest quake out here in the Quebec region, a 1.6 earlier. Looks like just a little bit ago. But notice all the activity out here along the western portion of the country. That includes areas right around the northern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Seeing quite a bit of strain up here. Of course, we have seen quite a bit of tremor in this area right here as well. And I keep saying it, I think we're going to stay pretty busy out here along the west coast until we see things majorly start moving here in this area of the Pacific Plate again. Remember the teeter-totter effect. I see it in my head, and it's right now it's kind of tilting. You know, you can kind of see a lot of activity out here along the west coast and movement along the South America region as well. Sometimes it flips back and forth, you know, almost seems like every day or so, but we've been pretty consistent with the west coast being pretty active, and of course swarms out here around the Nazca Plate over the last couple days. So I don't think we're going to see too much relief out here along the western coast until we get some major movement here, or at least a couple deep earthquakes could adjust a little bit accordingly, and maybe back off a little bit here with the activity. See what else we got. I don't believe we have any changes here at the volcanoes. That's looks about the same throughout Alaska. The Cascades always green, huh? Always green. The Sierras, Long Valley, you know, got Mono Crater, Salton Buttes, all green across the board here. One of these days, it's definitely going to change, folks. I mean, we've been all too quiet in terms of volcanic activity here in the States. Really, if you really think about it, we've been pretty fortunate, I guess, or unfortunate. I mean, I kind of like activity. I'm not a fair weather type of guy. I like it when it storms. I like it when things are active. I'm not a neutral guy. But yeah. One of these days, at least, it's got to be, who knows what? Who knows exactly which one is going to be the more active one here soon. And what we'll do tonight, we'll check out quite a few of these GPS statements here and see what they look like on the graphs. Look at some historical earthquake activity as well. For the volcanoes. I mean, you can look at any volcanoes out here and kind of get a GPS reading on any of them. Long Valley supervolcano here. You can kind of see the caldera. Where's that little dome at? Resurgent Dome, maybe around here. 2022. I'd like to check out these GPS measurements here. We've had a little uptick. Look back in 2017, had a pretty good trend of uptick in moment sensors there, but since about 2000, it's hard to tell. Sometimes when these, it looks like right about 2012 we started to see a little uptick there in movement. This is vertical displacement again of the Long Valley region. Mammoth Lakes area. But maybe a little bit later tonight we'll cover that a little bit more in detail. We'll make tonight's update a volcano, more of a volcano update. All right, space weather. Let's see what's going on here. Gonna actually get outside today and enjoy the cooler weather. It's only supposed to be 93 degrees today. Currently 87 degrees outside. It's sunny. A little south wind kicking up here a little bit, but yeah, still not cool enough for me though. I like it down below 80. All right, what do we got here for space weather activity? Not a whole lot. We're still back into the green here for the 3-day geomagnetic forecast. Things kind of getting back to normal conditions here for the auroras. Lack of auroras now. The solar X-ray, solar flare detection chart, it looks pretty green. It looks like we're getting a little bit of popcorn brewing here into maybe the low C category. Let me see where these are coming from. Let's see what these guys got here for probability details. All pretty minimal. They got 3078 and 3077, potentially at least the most active ones, and that's not even that big of a deal. 3077 and 3078, right? It looks like they haven't added that on there. But this one definitely been watching this little red area get pretty large here, starting to grow a little bit. This kind of looks like last night's image here. Let me see, when was this updated? But none of these look active in terms of producing anything significant. Not even an M flare, or in this case, I don't even think an upper C flare currently. But we'll see how that develops. Coronal hole activities kind of spacing away from us around the bend. There's some beautiful features there on the sun. Sometimes these arches and these little plasma filaments can branch off and shoot charged particles in our direction. But I don't know. It's right now it's just kind of looking more beautiful than anything. Look at that feature up there, way up there on the northern end. That is awesome. I can sit and stare at the sun all day. Not in real life, but of course on images. It's absolutely beautiful to think about and just and to ponder. Looks like maybe an eye right here. Well, at least some eyelashes. The eye would be right here, but the eyelids covering that. Kind of going off into La La Land there. Okay. All right, guys. I'll be back a little bit later on this evening again. We'll check out some GPS measurements across an array of volcanoes across the West Coast and the Pacific Northwest a little bit later on tonight, and we'll have fun with it and see what we can pick out. 3.6, a little bit of movement out here around the Indonesia area trying to get going. Again, a lot of this activity though much older. Notice the rings here, darker color rings indicating the older activity. Still seeing a lot of movement along the West Coast, right around the Cocos Plate here and the Caribbean Plate, all showing some activity. So we'll see how it goes. If anything happens, we'll definitely jump on with an update. Until then, we'll chat you guys later tonight with the nightly update. Peace out, guys. Have a good day.